Hi, I'm Joris, a social worker. In the beginning of 2024, I followed the Shared Connect training that was delivered by Arjen Barel of the Storytelling Center. I really wanted to follow this training course because I want to apply storytelling in my work. Because in my daily life, like I said before, I'm a social worker, and one of the assignments I do for my work is working with men in social isolation. The program is called The Golden Man. We help men that are not taking part of society anymore to participate again. Many of our participants lost their life story, or in other words, they consider their story as worthless. Their story doesn't exist anymore, and for that reason, they have the feeling that they may not exist anymore. Together with the Storytelling Center, the organization behind Golden Man, developed a method to support people in participating again in society. This is a program of 1.5 years in which the men learn to be assertive, take care of their health, and to discover that they have a story, because most of them, like I said before, don't recognize their own story. This last part is based on thorough research and a lot of knowledge derived from, for example, their narrative therapy and narrating practice. In order to be able to deliver this training, it is necessary to follow the Share to Connect training. This training provides skills to work with storytelling with groups in available positions, but it also gives a lot of insight in how to use storytelling as a tool or an intervention to diminish polarization and maybe even stop it, and to promote a behavioral change. This training took 3 full days, and they were intense, like quite intense. And we had to experience many of the exercises and activities ourselves. Our facilitator, Arjen Barel, explained already in the first lesson that he would do a lot of activities because he thinks it's important that you do an activity before you teach an activity. So it was hands-on learning, and like learning by doing. We were both learners as well as future trainers. It was quite exciting. After every activity, the facilitator explained why he did this activity and how you can use it in the process of training. He also underlined the importance of taking care of the process. Giving a training requires a dramaturgy and a proper build-up. Every group needs another approach, and this is why the facilitator needs to adjust to every group and needs to be okay with taking diverse methods. He also needs to adjust the tools and activities for every group to come out to a perfect atmosphere. And a good facilitator has to have an imaginary backpack full of activities and exercises. The first step of the Share to Connect training is gathering all those exercises and activities you need in filling your backpack. And in addition, you get a lot of background information, how about stories work, how narrative therapy can be used by storytelling workshops, and how storytelling techniques can be applied in several ways. And this is how you get a complete package to, feel more developed. The first part of the first lesson was dedicated to getting to know each other. We did a lot of activities to get to know each other, and we played a lot of games, but the thing that stayed most with me was the name game. It's a very powerful game because you get to experience the 3 layers, and these are the 3 layers, which are also called the 3 pillars, and they serve a perfect background to talk about stories. And you experience the way of how powerful some stories can be, and everybody can understand it, and for that reason it's not very hard to learn. However, our facilitator keeps stressing that learning the skill is something completely different than embodying a skill. And as I'm already doing a lot with words and literature and poetry, I think I have the right background to embody all the techniques around storytelling. In that respect, it's also important to realize that there is no right or wrong. When you truly embrace the process will do its work. And I mean, we use a technique that's been used by humankind for centuries. It's not something new because everyone can use words and talks, and everyone should know the true power of storytelling. And after the first day, I really realized that. The second day, we went deeper into our own stories using the so-called Tree of Life. It's an activity which has been developed by scholars of the Dulwich Center of Narrative Practice in Adelaide, and honestly, it was quite heavy. Um, First of all, we started drawing a tree, and then we discussed the outcome in couples. And it was something confronting, but also very healing. It was amazing what it brought to us. After the sharing, we were asked to pick one of the stories and create a real story out of that using the not the A association web and the way of life, a simplified version of the hero's journey. In the end of the session, we shared our stories, and I was really touched by listening to the stories of others. And I feel like I really connected with the other peoples, and I was quite heartwarmed that they also feel really touched by listening to my story. And when I shared it, they were listening. It's funny that the facilitator said, "Oh, it will take 3.5 hours," and I thought, "Oh my God, that's going to be so long." And at the end of those 3.5 hours, I felt like time flew by, and I needed more time to experience and build my story and listen to the other people, their stories. I'm looking really forward to exercise with the groups for my work, like the Golden Man, and I want to use those exercises as well for developing their stories. And in the last session, we really focused on applying the Share to Connect method. This method exists of 5 phases, and we really took time to discuss all these phases and to do activities and exercises connected to these phases. Um, for me, it was really helpful to do these exercises together because you start feeling which activity you like and which you like less. And well, a lot of activities you can easily choose. So there's a big diaspora of anything you can choose for any situation. At the end, we closed the training by setting up our own training schedules for little groups in smaller groups as well. And we presented it at the end and discussed our outcomes. After doing this, I felt like I was prepared to start working with this method and use it in my work at the Golden Man. But I also realized that I still need a lot of practice to really embody what I've learned to this training. Well, and as I said before, it was a great journey to do this Share to Connect training. And should I say, maybe it was even the beginning of a journey.